He is one of the most vocal human rights defenders in the country. His work represents the persistence and resilience of Turkey's human rights movement, even at the most pressing times. Despite great personal risks, the Turkish journalist Murat Çelikkan continues his tireless fight for fundamental rights and freedom. It is a country with strong authoritarian tendencies. A country where critics of the regime are classified as traitors, spies and terrorists and thrown into jail. A country where anyone expressing an opinion risks violent repercussions and being treated with a total lack of respect for fundamental human rights.
We are in a period of transition to tyranny, a one-man rule. We never had a very strong democracy, but it's deteriorating day by day now. We have started to have torture during interrogation again. Everybody is afraid nowadays. I mean, some people had to leave the country, and with everything, they have affected the life of hundreds of thousands of families in Turkey, and this is awful.
The aftermath of the unsuccessful coup 2 years ago has seen Erdogan's regime steer Turkey with an iron hand. Over 1,000 organizations, including trade unions and opposition groups, have been banned. Websites and newspapers have been forced to shut down. Journalists have been sentenced to life imprisonment for publishing articles critical of the regime. Murat Çelikkan was sentenced to 18 months in prison on the grounds of having supported terrorist activity through participating in a campaign for freedom of expression. He has since been released on judicial control after serving 2 months in prison, but lives under the constant shadow of being thrown back into jail.
Well, of course I'm afraid. There is always risk in Turkey for human rights defenders. Many of my colleagues were imprisoned, some got assassinated and killed. You fear about the consequences, but you still work. I have to have my integrity. And to do that, I can only censor myself to a limit. But I can't stop existing. And for the sake of integrity and in order to be able to look at myself in the mirror every night, I think I have to continue.
Murat Çelikkan has been involved in the human rights movement in Turkey for more than 30 years. As founder and one of the leaders of the human rights organization Truth, Justice, Memory Center, he's one of the strongest voices in the struggle for democracy and freedom of speech in the country.
Fehmi Tosun'u aradık, Hüseyin Aydemir'i sorduk, Savaş Buldan'ın katilini sorduk, Tahir Elçi'nin katillerini aradık. Ama her seferinde karşımıza kalın duvarlar çıktı.
He's also a driving force behind a campaign to chart and put on record all those people who've been murdered or just disappeared without trace during the bloody cleansing operations of the past few decades in Turkey.
Every picture, every stone here represents someone who had lived and had a story, had a life, and had occupied some space on this world. It's important that we remember their names, stories, so that they're not only pictures or numbers. So many cases, we believe that there are around 1,300 enforced disappearances, around 7,000 to 10,000 unidentified killings. In order that the impunity does not go on, you have to have convictions for some of the people who are responsible from crimes.
Over over 500 cases of murder and disappearances have been registered in the organization's database. Photos of the victims' faces have been etched into blocks of marble as a reminder for future generations of the brutalities committed. Murat Çelikkan's organization is one of a number in Turkey who have referred some hundreds of cases to the European Court of Human Rights as a means of offering redress to the victims' relatives and, if possible, punish the guilty. This is a struggle that continues unabated despite the increasingly negative developments in Turkey.
It seems very dark now, without much hope. But Turkey had gone through periods of like this, resembling this, where all the democratic values and respect for human rights were suspended. And in the end, the people in Turkey, that's what they want, is change and democracy. So I think in the long run, the struggle for democracy will continue and will succeed.